Hello everyone, Facebook, Instagram, how are you doing? Welcome to this this morning's episode of Sunday Morning Coffee with Caryn, where we are going to be talking about the top 5 ways that you're playing a supporting role in your life, which is really actually draining your power from being able to create heaven on earth in your own reality, because doing that means that you need to take the lead role in your life and stop being a supporting role. So let's jump right in. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you're not only putting others first. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're taking care of our families, that we are taking care of our jobs, doing those things. But I always say that I want to be able to teach you how to take care of yourself first so that you can take care of others and the world tomorrow. And it has always been others and the world, because I have always been and always will be a global citizen here to affect massive impact on the entire planet. So whether you've been following me for a week or for 3 years, know that leading the cause to take care of yourself first so that you can take care of the other people that you love, the other things that you love, and the world has always been my mission from day freaking one. So I want to make sure that we really understand that putting others before us is not service the way that we think it is. We have been taught, especially moms, have been taught that we need to put our families first, that it should be the children first that we're taking care of, that we need to take care of our husbands, we need to take care of the kids, we need to take care of the house. And it's why we have an epidemic. So, hi, thank you. It's why we have an epidemic of these memes going around about how hard momming is. Momming is so hard, or they make those little racks that have like AM and PM, and it's a coffee cup on one side and wine on the other. And yeah, this is Sunday morning coffee with Caryn, but I used to subscribe to that. When I had my second baby, I was all into those posts and just like trying to help me not feel so alone in the way that I was feeling. And then in feeling like I'm not good enough, I'm not adequate enough. And then I realized that what I was doing was I was calling in more and more of that same vibration. So as more and more women are talking about how hard it is to mom, which momming really is just leading your family. It's taking your values and teaching them to your children. It's creating your own little piece of heaven on earth inside of the 4 walls of your apartment or your trailer or your house or your mansion. Or your car. Like, I know moms who have literally lived in their cars for a certain time in their lives and now are living in multi-million dollar houses and make multiple billions of dollars. And it's because we all have a certain point where we realize that we need to work on our own dreams first, and it's people pleasing that has probably gotten us to a lot of our lowest points. So putting other people before you can look like making sure that your children are always in their, just always making sure that the kids are entertained, right? This is a big thing that happens to moms. Like, we don't let our kids get bored anymore, and therefore we're not even teaching them how to lead their own lives, where helicopter momming becomes a really big deal. And for dads, you just a lot of men that I know just take a back seat to the whole parenting thing, because there's not as much support for dads when it comes to this conscious parenting thing and how to talk about emotions and how to release a lot of it. It's why I actually really adore working with the dads and fathers that I do, because we're able to really open up a lot of these generations of wounds that have been around the masculine and are being continued with this whole rise of the divine feminine feminist movement that is not talking about equality, but actually ends up emasculating men a whole lot. And men need to be loved and held a lot, like even more than some women I know. Men need to be held. So it's really important for me that we understand that the whole point of becoming a dragon leader, of creating heaven on earth, of doing what it is that we're doing in our lives by living our why, is that we really do understand that it's to eventually transcend and ascend past this duality thing. I love that today is 02/02/2020. It adds up to 8. And you guys might not know this, but 8 is my number. So let's start. Now that it's been a few minutes and you guys are on, we're going to start with some sage. We've already gone over the number one thing, which is putting others before you, and then we'll go on with that. But I want to talk about this number 8 for 1 second. And sage up in here now that we've got some people coming. So this is dragon sage. You guys know how much I love this stuff. It is dragon's blood sage, so it's white sage dipped in dragon's blood resin. Dragon's blood is a very healing plant that has been used by indigenous people for literally millennia. So I always sage and use Palo Santo or incense in this fashion, the 8, the figure 8 infinite. So it's bringing the polarities into that 0 still point. And that's what it really is, to be embodying your dragon light body. So if you followed me, if not, whatever, we are all human forms. We're also all dragons. We are all here to live some sort of divine mission that is so much bigger than we can even comprehend right now. So any of you that are still playing small, that are still living in this life of struggle and pain and suffering, and it feels like an endless loop of like just bullshit and chaos and bullshit and chaos, it's because you're doing an infinite loop in a really low vibration. And the more that you raise your vibration by meditating, by working out, by seeking higher levels of consciousness and really connecting to who you are, what your divine mission is, you start doing loops, but it's give and receive, abundance, prosperity, and you not so much having these dualities of like really, really good day and a really, really shitty day and doing shit like this. You really are just like in the flow and smoothly going infinite back and forth, and you're just okay with it. You know that some days are better than others. You know that you're moving towards a purpose, because when you're living a divine mission, it doesn't, you're living in a frequency. You just, every day comes and you figure out how you can live that frequency more. So the number one way that I was talking about when we play our supporting roles, we get in these infinite cycles, like this loop that's just feels like we're living like Groundhog's Day. It's Groundhog's Day today, and honestly, that playing the supporting role is just like every day is in and out, and it just seems like you're going nowhere really fucking fast. Or really slow. Like it's just like, oh my god, every day I wake up and I end up doing the exact same thing over and over, because I don't have anything really pushing me except for giving myself to others. And you're just give, and you feel like a total bitch if you ask for anything, and maybe your husband or your partner just ends up, you know, I know, again, I work with men too, but sometimes you have that role reversal, right? And you're the stay-at-home dad, and your wife's like this badass bitch CEO, and you just need a fucking break, and she doesn't get it because you guys have kind of swapped that role. So this really is like, you can't just put your spouse before you. You can't just put your kids before you. I went on a vacation last week, and yes, it was for a leadership conference, and yes, I can write the whole thing off, but I spent the first day there doing things for me. I had my in-person voice lesson. I went out to lunch with one of my dad's oldest friends and like learned some more about him and about music and just the whole world of classical music, and had a day for me, because I am at work 24/7. Like, it's nonstop. And 3 years ago, when I really started my journey, or almost 3 years ago, right after my baby girl was born, that's when I realized, like, the reason why I was so resentful towards my children was because I felt underappreciated, and I wasn't taking the lead in my life to make myself feel better. Because I kept putting others before me, I kept waiting for others to make me feel better. And that's not the purpose. It's not to wait for others to make you feel better. You're supposed to make yourself feel better. Like, nobody's going to make your life better. You need to make your life better for you and for everyone else, because when you're in a better mood, everyone else is in a better mood, right? The reason why you don't want to go to a Super Bowl party today is because you don't want to bring down the vibe. Well, what if you just brought up your own vibe now before the Super Bowl starts, and then go to the party and have a great fucking time because you decided that's what you wanted to do instead, and it had nothing to do with anybody else except for you, right? Okay. I'm just going to share this out really quick, and we'll go on to number 2. Perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Hey, Lisa. Hi, everyone. Say hi when you pop on. You know how much I love that. So number 1 way that you're playing the supporting role is the kind of obvious one. Like, you're putting other people, you're just supporting others. You're literally the supporting role in everyone else's life. But because you're playing the supporting role in everyone else's life, there is no main player. Like, there's literally no one leading your life because you're just supporting every other life around you. And so your life is just Groundhog's Day, like I said. It's just fucking Groundhog's Day, in and out, all day long, where you're putting everyone else's needs before yours. And then you feel drained and you have no energy and all of those things that lead back to why we have a huge culture that glorifies how shitty being a mom is. And it's just ridiculous, because being a mom is the most amazing, miraculous, empowering, phenomenal thing. Being a parent, making that choice to really love unconditionally, to put someone before you. But I'm putting myself first in what I want because I chose to bring my kids into my story. I'm still living my life and helping them live theirs, but we're co-creating this whole existing. I'm not the lead role in their lives, and I support them every way I can, but sometimes I just have to let my kids get bored, because what I need to do is the most important thing, because I have to fill my cup. You can't pour from an empty cup. All of these, once you start finding more conscious parenting things, you kind of forget that world that you were probably living in beforehand, where it was just a whole lot of, whose life is worse. So the second way that you're playing a supporting role in your life, hey Christopher, is that you're living in the past. So this shows up in a whole lot of ways. The first way being that you have a story or a trauma or something that happened to you that is the only thing that you ever talk about. So for me, I guess fibromyalgia is one of them. I didn't really start openly talking about fibromyalgia though, except for okay, so here's how. So when I was helping the Prop 2 in Utah get passed for medical cannabis, the thing that I would talk about over and over and over again was the fact that I had suffered from fibromyalgia since I was 20 years old, and also degenerative arthritis, and I had 150 microfractures in my pelvis from the labor in my first son's birth because I had hip dysplasia. So like every live stream and everything I talked about was always focused on the fact that at 20 years old I had the body of a 65-year-old, that I didn't take care of my kid at all, that I let my mom and dad raise him, and it was always focused very primarily on those first years where I was just living in constant pain, and I couldn't take the pain medications because I went fucking crazy, literally like drove myself 2 hours away without realizing it, and told my doctor that he could go to hell. I would rather die than take these medications. And he said that I needed to Google, because this was back in like 2010 when like no one except for California really even had medical cannabis. Colorado hadn't passed anything yet. So he's like, you should Google Arizona and fibromyalgia and natural remedies, and the first thing that popped up was medicinal cannabis. So my husband has been a stoner since he was like 13, so I was already like had access to it and had already realized that it kind of helped me. But I was raised by parents that have never smoked anything in their whole lives, and it took them a long time to come around to understanding that cannabis was my medicine and that it really wasn't any worse and probably in many ways better than having a beer. And my parents did drink, but that was legal, right? So it was always the legality thing for them. So that's how I amassed followers when I was trying to lead a movement for legalizing cannabis. Was I had to hit that pain point of, look at me, I'm a young mom who suffers from a disease that so many other women suffer from, and it's because I didn't understand, and there wasn't a lot of research out talking about how fibromyalgia is actually physicalized PTSD, and how the ancient Chinese culture, ancient Eastern medicine talk about how the physical form is the densest form. If you've ever learned about the matrix theory, that we are all just like forming like a chalice and like becoming a solid object here in this reality, it's all the same. The physical is the densest form, and things don't cause dis-ease in the physical form until it's reached like critical mass in the mental and emotional realms also. So that's why when I was 25, when everything just like hit the peak and I was depressed and drinking and horrible suicidal thoughts constantly because my life, it felt totally fucked and I was in so much pain, and it didn't matter, like I had to get stoned all day long to be able to deal with my pain, but then I was fucking stoned all day long, so that's not helpful. So I finally got a therapist, and as I worked on my emotional issues, the physical pain went away, and I was able to create like that solid bond that I now teach to everyone. It's the same thing that I ended up doing years later when I lost, half my size in 12 weeks by connecting into my sexuality and deciding that I was going to love the naked mirror reflection in the mirror, the naked reflection in the mirror, no matter what. So living in the past, this is those traumas that I'm talking about. That is a huge way that you're living a supporting role, because for a lot of you guys, this is going to be the first time you've ever heard that story from me, because I don't talk about it that much. I talk more about changing my body, losing 50 pounds in the last however much of time without doing a lot of the like pills and wraps or any of that. Metaphysics is what I talk about. I talk a ton about dragon magic and becoming the divine creator of your own life and heaven on earth. Those are the things that I want to focus on, because I don't want to continue the pattern of suffering. I went through that journey and I can obviously tell you about it, but it's not how I want to bring followers into me. I don't need a pity party, because that's what it was. When I was using my pain as a way to attract followers, even for as great of a cause as medical cannabis, I was still trying to get their pity on me. I was still trying to get them to I was trying to hit a pain point. Other people might have family members with any of these diseases, so it was always trying to focus on the negative instead of focusing on the positive. And the positive was that cannabis got me out of enough pain that I could think about things like my emotions and my mental state, because when you're in that much physical pain, you can't think about it. So I understand that it's all a layer, but it's also not the way that I'm trying to focus. So you can live in the past that way, and I'm telling you all this because there's some trauma that so many of you guys use as either as your way to amass followers or your way, and so you think that you're taking a leading role, but you're just supporting an old version of you. So you're taking the supporting role in your life because you're not moving forward with your life anymore. You're not being the leader of your life and moving forward. You're just stuck in this story of all this shit that happened to you before, and you're constantly healing this one piece of you, and you're not able to move through any other piece. Another way that you're living in the past is childhood trauma. Holy Jesus, okay? As someone who has worked with, as a pleasurable parenting and sensual motherhood expert for the last 18 or so months, I have noticed so many parents who came to me had so much childhood trauma that they were working with and working on. But then when I would ask them about it, it was something that they're like, oh yeah, I know this is a problem. Let me tell you about my therapist session 7 years ago where they brought up this issue. So all of a sudden you're living in the past because you're using your childhood again as an excuse for why you act the way you do, instead of being able to love that little girl or little boy inside of you that experienced that, to be able to go back in your timeline and heal that wound, to use the metaphysical tools of cord cutting and ancestral lineage bloodline clearing to help smooth and release the emotion. So trauma is really just like this trapped emotion. You've got this energy in this trauma that is your energy that you've just like frozen in time in this trauma, in this childhood trauma. So tons of us have all this creative energy stuck in our childhood, which if you think about it makes sense, right? We were all creative little imaginary little monsters and coloring and creating all these worlds when we're children, but we have all this traumatic shit happen to us. Whether society finds it traumatic or not, we as a child being spanked can still feel as bad as being like choked out and passing out, because you're still a child and your parent is attacking you. It doesn't really matter what level you're being attacked at. Some people will take that as like extreme trauma, and you're trapping the trauma in your emotion. So as you're trapping your energy, you're closing off your root chakra, which is your safety, and your creative chakra, which is your sacral chakra. You're closing all this off, and you have all this energy trapped in these two chakras. And then by the time you're an adult, you're like wondering, why am I not creative anymore? Why am I not sexual anymore? Why do I worry about all this stuff? Why don't I have a stable job? Why is money so hard to create? Why does it feel like I'm just constantly stuck? It's because you are stuck. You're living in this childhood trauma. You have all these excuses, all this trauma in your childhood, all these trapped emotion, that as soon as you're able to go through with the work, usually like 99% of the time, with some sort of mentor and go through these traumas. And I'm not talking about like digging super deep. I'm talking about like finding one thing and going through the whole timeline and just like flamethrower blasting and just like burning that whole belief system down to the ground and allowing something new and beautiful to be born from the lessons. So you do that. When you do that, you release all of that energy from that trauma, and that energy immediately becomes neutral, and you can suck it up and become a creative boss again. And that's where leaders have to be creative. You constantly are creating new innovative ways to lead your industry, to lead your team, to create, hit your next rank, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever you're trying to lead. Even your family, you're always coming up with like, what's the best way for me to create a chore chart that people are going to stick to, right? You're still leading. So those are the two ways that you're living in the past. And those are causing you to play a supporting role, again, because you're supporting past you instead of current you, okay? And then the first one was putting others first, so, and waiting for other people to like support you too, instead of just supporting yourself. So, any questions so far? I'm gonna take a drink. I feel real fired up. You guys can tell I get really passionate about this stuff. Let me know. And then, okay, so the third way is logical excuses. I've kind of already alluded to this when I was talking about the when you are using your childhood as an excuse, or you're using your past trauma as an excuse. So this shows up so fucking much as when you're still living in the past. You use these hold on, people are messaging me because their world is amazing. Let me turn that off Instagram. Logical excuses are like, but Caryn, I have to support my family. I chose to have a family, so I need to put them first, because if I don't, then we end up being homeless. Or, Caryn, of course I'm going to use the fact that I was sexually assaulted in college as my main story, because my purpose is to bring awareness and to end rape culture in this country, okay? Those are logical things to talk about if you've done the energetic, like those are very great stories to use if you've done the emotional, mental, and spiritual work around it. That's again coming back to that energy emotion, that you are like so attached to this story that it's your reason for everything. A great, let's see, let me think about an example of a logical excuse besides what I just used. Oh, okay, so here's a good one. When I get onto calls with some people who are partners, so either the wife or it doesn't really matter because it works both ways. And we're talking and we're totally jiving and we're so stoked on it. And we know how much money, like they know exactly how much money is in the bank account. They're all a go. They're like, yeah, I can afford it. Absolutely. Because to even get on a sales call with me, you have to say that you have the minimum amount for the package that you're inquiring about. So we'll get onto the call and they've passed all of that and we're totally jiving. And then we get to the very end and they're like, I have to check with my spouse. And I'm like, okay. There is a difference in the energy that I get. I would say only 1 or 2 times have I ever gotten a very solid energy that like this is a contract that they have. They absolutely always check with each other. So I'm going to honor that and let them, you know, check first. And it wasn't ever, those 2 people didn't use the word check. They were just like, let me let them know that I do this before I press go. And I was like, okay, that's fine, I'll wait. And I literally waited on the phone, like waited on the call while they called their wife and called their husband. And they're like, yeah, that's cool. And then they made the payment, right? Because I wait. That's a good sales trick for you guys if you're doing sales. Wait until the end of the sales call and make sure that they've paid the invoice right on time. Then you don't get anybody that's like afraid of doing it after the fact. Anyway, I digress. But everyone else besides those 2 people, when they say, let me check, it's this fear thing, this like, oh, I don't know if it's okay for me to put myself first by using family funds that I know that we have, that I actually know that we can afford for myself. So it's more logical that I check with my husband or my wife. Okay, so that's a logical excuse that's giving your power. Living a supporting role in your life really is just giving other people your power, or past versions of yourself your power, which is then usually still like you're giving your daddy your power because he spanked you, or you're giving your mommy your power because she used to put you in your room for like 3 hours until dad got home and you were totally fucking isolated, or whatever it was. So putting other first, living in the past, logical excuses. The 4th way that you're living a supporting role in your life and not the lead role, which is causing you to be exhausted, to be drained. Remember, the reason why I'm telling you why you're living a supporting role is because unless you are living the lead role in your life, you're not going to be able to have the energy and have the channel and have the capability to hold the vibration long enough for you to physically manifest heaven on earth, whatever that looks like for you. For some people, that's living in the literal middle of nowhere in a rainforest in a hut and cultivating 3 acres of land for just them and their family and saying fuck you to the entire world. And for other people, is having multiple multi-million-dollar houses all over the world and private jets and going to soirees and having lots of capital. So like whatever it is, or being a rock star, or just living a normal suburban life. Whatever heaven on earth is for you, if you are not living the lead role in your life and using all of your energy and all of your capability and power to focus on the frequency of that timeline that leads you to living heaven on earth, which you'll find that as you focus on that frequency, you already know that you're living it. So that's a really fun thing that happens. Yeah, if you're not leading the lead role, all of your energy is just kind of like sporadic. You're focusing here and then you're focusing there, and maybe those 2 people that you keep putting your power into, maybe they have like some karmic shit that actually has nothing to do with you, but you're giving your energy away to them and it's causing it to perpetuate. So definitely make sure you're filling yourself first and you're not just like going around and splashing it everywhere. You're like totally full, and then also have like buckets to give out as well, and you're not like taking from your own vessel, you're taking from the infinite You become a channel, like you become like this waterfall, so that it doesn't really matter if you're giving, because you know it's always pouring in. The problem is that so many of us like fill up and then think, oh, okay, I've capped up, and then we like deplete ourselves by giving it away to everyone. You got to like just make sure that you're constantly filling your own chalice. So the fourth way that you're playing this supporting role, that you're giving your power away to other people, that you're splashing your essence everywhere instead of being able to continuously flow it, is what I call pedestal syndrome. Pedestal syndrome is something that even some of you on this call right now have with me. So hopefully this will pop that bubble. You guys have been seeing me post, nothing that you see in me are you capable of seeing in me unless you yourself possess it. And also, if there's things in me that you really don't like, it's because you too possess it and you don't want to accept and love that within yourself. Or if there's things that you absolutely adore and you're like, oh, I just wish that I could be like that. I just wish that I could do that. I just want to be her when I grow up. I just want to have that energy, that vibrancy, that vulnerability, that authenticity, that power, that drive, that fierceness. You see any of that in me at any level, it's the same capability that you have. And if you only see a little bit of that in me, it's because you're not opening enough in yourself. I'm mirroring you. I am a channel that is pure and clear, and I know exactly what I'm doing and who I am and what I am and how I serve the world. And how I serve is to mirror back to you exactly and precisely the lesson that you need to learn most at the moment that you encounter me. Pedestal syndrome is where you would hear what I just said and be like, oh my gosh, thank you. You're a savior. Thank God for you, Caryn. You're just so amazing and so brilliant. And I'm just so grateful. And everything that you say, I just drip on everything you say. Okay, there's a difference between my like soulmate clients, those clients that it doesn't matter what I create, they just want to buy it. None of those people have me on a pedestal. They just love what I create and they enjoy it. But I also purchase things from a lot of those people that purchase things from me. There's no hierarchy when you're a great leader. Great leaders really often put themselves equal to or even below their followers because it's our drive to serve you. Now, I wouldn't say always below, like, what I create is because I probably needed it at one point or another, and I know that other people would greatly benefit from my knowledge. That's what I mean by I put your needs before mine, because I already have it, so let me give it to you. Not like I don't have it in me, so I'm going to distract myself from it by putting all of my energy in you. That's different. When you've already gotten very solid and you are this constant stream of miracles in your own life and you're creating all the time and you're playing the lead role, that's when you can really begin to be of service to others. So many people are being service to others, and it's again that whole like I can't refill my coffee cup just by going like this. Yet. One day I will sit here and I will say, oh, I need a refill, and I'll go like this and it will refill and it will be crazy cool. Right now I can't do that. So lots of people in the spiritual community and the coaching community, that's what they're doing. They fill up their own cup and then they go on sabbatical, right? You need to take a break all the time. It's not sustainable for your energy. You have like 3 really great months and then like 4 months of nothing, or you're up and down all the time, or you have a great nonprofit fundraiser 1 month and then the next month you're barely making anything because all sorts of shit went to hell for the charity that you were doing things for. So this pedestal syndrome comes down to what you keep doing is you keep searching for the next person that's going to fix your problem. And when you find them, you raise them above you. You're like, oh my gosh, I need to buy every book that she ever wrote because what she says is absolutely the word of God. Okay? Oh, I totally just bit my tongue. That was weird. And then you read everything that she says, and you do all the things that she does, and then nothing fucking happens in your life. Nothing changes in your life, except for that you've spent like multiple thousands of dollars to follow someone that you just wanted to be like so much, because you've put her on a pedestal. You made her Regina George. No, that's not a good one. I'm trying to think of any of them. Just like anything, like think about the person that you just idolized when you were a kid. For me, it might be like Madonna, right? And I just like wanted to be Madonna so badly. And the more that I wanted to be Madonna and not Caryn embodying what Madonna embodies, the worse I actually felt about myself. So you go out and you buy all these packages and you get coaching from all these people that are creating what it is that you want to create, and you're following their steps exactly the way they tell you to, and it's not working. It's because you don't believe that you're worth receiving it, but you believe that they are, because they're so amazing. So you're putting them up on this pedestal instead of remembering that there is no separation. We really are all equals. We really all are gods co-creating heaven on earth together, which is why I can have a client come and pay me $50,000 to work with me for 5 months and totally change her life. And once our contract is over, she could run a 6-week program on her brilliance as a psychic, which is something that I'm not so like, I'm working on those abilities. I'm not as conscious of my ability to do it. And I'm totally okay to go spend $2,000 immediately after we're out of that contract. Now, I'm not going to I'm not going to do that while I'm her client or while I'm her mentor. But again, once our contract is ended, if she's got a badass 6-week group course on a topic that I'm interested in, it doesn't matter that I was her mentor for 5 months. We are equals. I was able to help her be the person that she's trying to become while creating a global massive movement, because those are who I work with. Those leaders who are really here to change their industry, to change their country, to change their community, to change the world, because there's like a massive systemic issue. Those are the people that I absolutely adore working with. And all of the people who want to eventually have that sort of charisma, they're like, I don't know if I really could lead, but I'd like to at least lead my mom, lead by being a good mom. You know, that though everywhere. That's literally why I have offers from $147 to $100,000, because leadership looks like a million different things, and it's the one thing that it doesn't matter where you go, inside your church, inside your school, inside your city, county building, anywhere, they're looking for more leaders. They're looking for someone to be like, you know what, I will be the face of this movement because this cause is so damn important to me. And what's so damn important to me is to create a heaven on earth for my children to experience, and my grandchildren, and my great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren. So don't put me on a pedestal, because I'm doing this for me just as much as I'm doing it for you. I'm doing all of this because I just love this planet. I love you. I love what you're doing. I love who you're being. I want to see you succeed. Nothing makes my heart happier than when my client comes to me and is like, so you know how I hired you to help me close a 50K client? I did that already, and we still have 4 more weeks. So what can we do instead? Like, we need to focus on that. And I'm like, okay, let's find a new goal, because working with me for 3 weeks helped clear what she'd been doing for how many years, because I will not stoop to coddling her victim. I have laughed at clients and them gotten mad at me because I was laughing, because I found it so ridiculous watching this beautiful, powerful, amazing person drop in to a story that you could tell wasn't really hers, but some mentor that she probably had on a pedestal at some other point told her that it was a really important part of her story, so she had clung on to it. And then by the end of the session, even though she was mad at the beginning, she herself is laughing at the ridiculousness of the story she tried to tell me at the beginning. Because I'm not here, again, I'm not here to be put on a pedestal. I want you, if you feel down here, I want you, by the time we're done working together, to know that you and I are absolutely equal in our ability to shine. So here we are, we're almost to number 5. So let's recap. 5 ways that we're playing small, how we're being a supporting role, how we're giving our energy away and our power away, and then therefore we don't have it to be able to create our own life, our own dream life. putting others first, not filling your own cup, trying to fill from an empty cup, living in the past, living in your childhood, living in that trauma, living in that old story of who you used to be, using pain and suffering to amass your followers instead of using what you want to create in the future for your way to amass followers. 3, logical excuses, using the consciousness, the global consciousness, things that you know make sense on a logical form but don't actually pass your values test. Or again, checking with someone else before you do something that's for your highest good. Just all these things that you were taught to keep you safe and to not look irresponsible. Logic really is something that is very like self-sabotaging. It can be self-sabotaging because logic helps you stay safe. And when you're trying to become a fucking dragon, trust me, you will not feel safe. You're not going to actually learn to fly if you think that there's a safety net, which is why I don't act like a safety net for my clients. I show them how to fly and how to soar and to keep going. We don't play with quantum leaps in my container. We play with quantum flight and then loop-de-loops. And we mix timelines and we have so much fun because a leader knows that they are creating their life in every present moment. And the harder and stronger you hold on to that knowledge, the more other people in your life are going to help you create your version of heaven on earth, because you're like this strong black hole magnetizing everybody to you and amassing more and more for your timeline, because the other people just don't think that they're worthy enough. So do it for them. Do it for all the people that will never, ever, ever, ever think they're worthy enough to live heaven on earth. Create your own heaven on earth for everyone else. Really, your own heaven on earth for everyone else. And that's what number 5 is. Number 5, the reason why you are playing the supporting role is worthlessness, or feeling unworthy of living the life of your dreams. You don't feel, there's a lot of unfairness. So if you guys caught my live stream the other day, I was talking about the fear of being assassinated or the fear of being a dictator. And the other fear that comes in is this fear of being too big and too bright and hurting other people's feelings because you're just so amazing. Of feeling like you're making other people upset because you're bragging about the fact that you had $100,000 day. Bragging how you are going to be at the White House Correspondents' Dinner or whatever it is. Bragging, the more you brag, the more the universe is like, oh, she wants more of that. Go, have it. It's that we at some point just associated bragging with such a negative thing because we were creating more separation. That there was something separate between the homeless person on the street and Angelina Jolie when they are literally created of the same stuff that you and I are, which is star stuff, of electromagnetic photons that are culminating into this exact moment in space and time. So those are your 5 things. Don't feel worthy of living your dream. You're putting other people on a pedestal, so when you do the things that they tell you to do and it's not working out, it's again kind of related to that worthiness, that you don't feel worthy of having it, but they should get it because they're better than you. Nobody's better than anyone. Logical excuses. Well, it's logical to think that Angelina Jolie is better than the homeless person. No, it's not. It's not fucking logical to think that, because Angelina Jolie really could be homeless tomorrow. Like, we don't know what's going to happen in the world, ever. And that homeless guy could be a multimillionaire tomorrow, because, again, we don't know what's going to happen. Living in the past. Thinking about your old traumas and your childhood wounds and all that horrible shit, and also putting other people before you. Those are the 5 ways that you're playing a supporting role in your life. And when you're supporting role in your life, you're not actually supporting your life. You're being a supporting role in all these other people's lives, giving your power away all over the place. We are all equals. Teachers learn from each other. Yeah, indifference. Exactly, exactly. Okay, now, what is the number 1 way to play the lead role? As I told you guys, today is a really amazing day for me. 0202-2020 adds up to 8. 8 is my number. I was born on 8/17. 1 + 7 is 8. 88. Strength, tarot card 8. Infinite energy. Dragons worked with the infinite energy. The DNA helix looks like an 8. Like, it's a beautiful 8 day. So I'm gifting another Dragon Invocation. I tend to not do a lot of these group ones, but today I just wanted to do it, and I already had a live scheduled. So this is going to help you with truly and completely clearing out that old bullshit about not being the biggest, baddest, most fierce and fearless version of you, and also heal any other crazy trauma shit that you just like, just be done. Like, choose right fucking now that you're just done with healing. You're just done because there's too much cool shit to create to heal anything from the past. Focus on your future. And then that's going to activate that dragon leader inside of you. And the number one way that we dragon leaders play, you got to get into your body and out of your mind. So that is the number one way to be the lead role player in your life, is to get out of your head and into your body. Like, talk to your heart, feel in your body what's going on. Then do some fucking research, let your mind do a little bit of what does that mean? Oh, I have this pain right here. Ooh, that's my liver. Liver is associated with anger. I should probably go punch some things. And then get back into your body and punch the shit out of some pillows or scream really loud or whatever it is you need to do to release that anger, and then check back in with your body and feel how that has like dissipated, okay? So that's the number, literally, the more you're in your body, the more you can focus on that frequency we were talking about. So all day, every day, I check into my heart, and if my heart isn't like, boom, 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 then I wonder what's going on. Because it's really fucking scary to be 31 years old telling people all the time, by the way, 2024, I'm going to be your fucking president. Nice to meet you. I'm a dragon leader. I'm here to show you that you need to stop acting like there is enough time to waste in all the bullshit that you're doing. You want to change the world? Fucking do it. Stop talking about it. Stop planning it. Stop changing everything you're doing every 2 months. Stop rebranding. Stop offering this course and then it doesn't feel, so you offer this and then you offer that. Like, figure out exactly who you want to be in 4 years from now, and do not waver from that timeline at all. Don't waver from it. And you don't waver by feeling your body. Do I feel like a president? No. What do I need to be doing right now to feel like a president? What I need to be doing is singing you a beautiful dragon song that's going to activate this fierce fire in you. So let's do that. So take a nice deep breath, close your eyes. Feel that physical body that you're in right now, in this time and space. Some of you are hurting. I get it. Fibromyalgia, man, I understand what it feels like to have your entire fucking body revolting against you. And it takes everything that you can just to take a breath without hurting. Some of you have dealt with so many years of trauma and you just like don't even know what it would be like to not feel the way that you do. And I want you to a moment just feel like you're floating. Like, go back to being, not everyone, let's all go back to being little kids, like 8 years old. We all have one of these memories. 8 years old, floating in a swimming pool maybe, or on a boat in the water. Maybe you were floating, I don't know, anti-gravity. For some reason is popping up in my head as well. Just a time that you remember feel like you're just floating. And I want you to connect to that floaty feeling, that feeling that you get after an amazing meditation, that feeling that you get when you just feel connected to everything. I don't want us to ground. This whole live stream is about being the star of your life. And when you're the star and the leading role in your life, you're not trying to ground, okay? The grounding happens when you create lightning, okay? That's it. You're one that is going to learn how to dance with lightning and laugh like thunder and have a great fucking time doing it. And you have to learn how to stay high. You have to learn how to feel that pounding in your chest and not think that that means I'm having an anxiety attack. means that I'm really super excited about the next thing that's happening in my life because something super exciting is happening. No longer trying to, oh, I got to get back grounded, because grounding really, for so many of you right now, means going back to that old frequency that you went to the meditation to get rid of to begin with. So don't do that. Stop that. Fly, soar, learn, like stretch those dragon wings. Some of you, ooh, that was beautiful. Some of you are already ready to really open those wings, so just open them. Either your arms are going to open wide, or they're going to feel like they're coming out of your shoulder blades and just start like unfurling that way. Wings are going to look different for everybody. Some of them are archangel wings, some of them are fairy wings, some of them are straight up giant dragon wings. I see a couple of Pegasus wings. Whatever works in your world. Others of you who aren't ready to connect to that dragon part of you, just feel again into your physical body. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling it? What is your body trying to tell you? Listen. Now, receive this gift from me to you. This soul channeled frequency, activating, clearing, and healing that dragon leader. Get ready for quantum flight in 2020, ladies and gentlemen. Now, we don't want anyone to try to fucking ground. Okay, we just got rid of all of that shame, guilt, fear, anger. My children. Alex, you need to go find your dad right now. Right now, I'm still on my live, please. Alex, no. 5 minutes, honey. Floating into the void at age 8. Yep, that's it. Like, age 8 is really when so many of us can really, like, really solidly remember. There's plenty of, like, random tidbits that come up prior to age 7, but by 8, like, that's when shit started really going down for so many of us, and we hook into that. So I wanted to really use the number of today to help us release from that, the childhood traumas and the infinite loop of anger and suffering, and allow you to unhook from that and move up in vibration to the infinite loop of abundance and prosperity and giving and receiving in the most beautiful way, because that's what creation is really for. That's what being a dragon leader really is showing that you can go through crazy things like your toddler just not caring that you have a live stream going on, and just get through it. Just move forward, that it doesn't really matter. Like, none of that matters. What matters is that I'm on the timeline where I become president in 2024. And what do I need to do to stay on that timeline? What values are contradicting themselves? What are things that are going on in my lives that are not actually fulfilling me living in that timeline? And how can I rectify that dichotomy as quickly as possible so I can have more energy to focus on that dream? And then who do I need to be president? Who do I need to be an extraordinary mom and an exquisite lover and a present, caring, exemplary citizen? So yeah, that's all I have for you guys. Anything else going on? Freaking awesome. Yay. Okay, awesome. So happy I got to do both of these things for you. Let me know if there's any way that I can support you in stepping into your leadership. As always, share this out to your friends. I'm sure that there's other people in your circle that could benefit from it. I love you so much, and happy Super Bowl Sunday. Obviously, I wish the Vikings would have won. Okay, love you all. Thank you, Alishina. Love you all.